Welcome back to Update Day in Old School, and in this week's update we have some more big changes for Raids 3. First up for today's update fixes we have Wardens. The in-raid timer now ends when the remaining Warden reaches 0 HP, instead of the extra like 15 to 20 seconds after its death animation. They fixed the bug where Monster Examine would not work on the Obelisk. They fixed the issue where players would get stuck in the Purgatory, and then they finally fixed the issue where the Wardens could attack during the transition to Phase 3. They've adjusted the mid-raid loot once again, and Ambrosia and Adrenaline now come in 2-dose variants again, so you don't have to worry about juggling all the 1-dose pots within your inventory. And for obvious reasons, the quantity offered has been decreased. But the life and chaos options have been rebalanced to be more appealing. Not exactly sure what this is going to look like, considering I feel like the life gives quite a substantial amount of supplies. But the final change to mid-raid loot is Ambrosia now has a rare chance to appear in chaos once again. That could be a big one. The Shadow is receiving a little bit more love within raids. The accuracy modifier while inside the raid is increased from 3x to 4x, and the magic strength modifier is also increased from 3x to 4x. And then finally, for some other miscellaneous changes, the time between waterfall refills on the Path of Krondis has been slightly reduced in all scales, and they've added a right-click quick pass option to all of the entrances within Tombs of a Masket, but do note that the party leader will still have to enter first. Now for the first big aspect of this week's update, we have Ornament Kits. Some very sick looking Masori colorways on quite a few of the new items. The renew Ornament Kits have been added to Tombs of a Masket, and you'll be guaranteed the following items when you complete raids with no deaths. This does include you or anyone on your team whenever you are doing team raids. So for the Ava's Assembler Ornament Kit, it'll be automatically unlocked if you complete a raid level of 350 or higher with 0 deaths. Then in order to get the drop of the Ward of Elidinus Ornament Kit, you'll have to complete a raid level of 425 or higher. And then finally for the Fang Ornament Kit, you'll have to complete a raid level of 500 or higher in order to get this guaranteed drop. But that's not all. In terms of bonus drops coming this week, we also have Pet Transmogs. There are 8 Transmogs available in total, the existing 2 modeled after the Wardens. There will be 2 new versions of the Destroyed Wardens, and then 4 more which will correspond to each boss. And a Transmog drop will be guaranteed if you meet these conditions: a raid level of 450 or above, no deaths can occur in the run from anyone on the team, you must have all invocations for that selected boss if you want to get the Morph for, you must also complete the boss at level 4 or higher, the exception being the Wardens, and then finally you have not already obtained the item used to morph your pet already. Do note only 1 morph can drop per run, but if you do meet the above conditions, you will receive an item in your loot chest to use on your pet regardless. But now for some Invocation Balancing, and this one is a big one because it affects a ton of the invocations that are very heavily used within Tombs of a Masket, especially for a lot of the moderate players who are running between the 150 to 200 raids. First up, they've buffed all of the Path ones. Walk the Path has been buffed from 45 to 60, Pathfinder from 25 to 40, Path Master from 40 to 50. They've also buffed more overloads from 10 to 15, Arterial Spray from 5 to 10, and now for the nerfs, On a Diet has been dropped from 20 to 15, Lively Larvae has been reduced from 10 to 5, Acceleration from 15 to 10, Overclocked from 15 to 10, Overclocked 2 from 15 to 10, and then finally Blood Thinners from 10 to 5. If you're using most of those invocations down below, which I know a majority of players are, you're probably going to see a 20 to 25 reduction on your next raid level without making any other changes. They said these changes weren't intended to make Tombs of a Masket any more unreasonably difficult, but that said, small tweaks here and there are critical to preserve the longevity and enjoyability of the content. But for other small changes in terms of invocations, the small blood clouds that appear with Blood Thinners invocation now have slightly higher health. Path leveling now affects mechanics at level 2 and 4 instead of at level 1 and 2. And they've also altered the amount of stats added from path leveling. Originally it would start at 10 and go up by 10 per time you leveled up your path. Now it'll start at 8 and only go up by 5. And these modifiers will only apply to hit points and damage, not their defense. Definitely looks like with this week's changes they're trying to heavily incentivize using some of the path invocations rather than some of the easier ones on specific bosses. They've also increased the speed at which boulders come out when Boulder Dash invocation is activated. This one could be interesting because those boulders can be quite glitchy at times. But finally, path leveling now no longer affects the speed at which the Arcane Scarab charges. And then for the final aspect of this week's update, we have the Activity Advisor. It'll see its full launch into the games with this week's update. And realistically, if you're not a big fan of seeing the menu, you can easily disable it in your settings. But with that, that's everything I wanted to include in today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed or found it helpful. If you did, consider dropping a like down below or subscribing to the channel if you're not already. But I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.